If you decide to get into a relationship with somebody that has habits or does things that you don't agree with, and you've already voiced that you don't agree with them, and you get in a relationship with the hopes of changing that person, you are mistaken. Listen, people don't change people. People don't change people. You can't change nobody. You can influence change in somebody, but you can't change them. They have to have the willingness to change, themselves, right? If they don't have the willingness to change and they don't see fit for them to change, they're not going to change. If they don't have a willingness to change, you might as well go about your business, because they're going to stay who they are, and you either accept who they are or you part ways.
Yeah.
If you decide to accept who they are and then later down the road try to change that,
complain about it,
oh, you about to be frustrated.
Yeah.
It ain't happening.
Okay, so far as entrepreneurship, what is the biggest seed that you have to sow?
Time.
Okay, and marriage.
Time.
Okay, and children.
Time.
So everything's connected.
It's all time. It's all time. It's the quality of time that you put in, not necessarily the quantity of time. I realize that effectiveness is much more important than efficiency. Mm-hmm. And the difference is efficiency is doing things right, but effectiveness is doing the right things. You know what I mean? So
wow.
when you prioritize being effective and making sure that the time that is spent in your marriage, in your relationship with your children, and in your business, the time that is spent in those things, that it's quality time. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's focused time. It's whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever time that is being put in, you got to make sure that that time is being used up in entirety, and you're placing a lot of value in that time. You can spend 10 hours with somebody and really get an hour worth of value.
Yeah.
Or you can spend 2 hours with somebody and get 10 hours worth of value. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just it's the value that you put in the time that you spend. So I think it's all the time.
Yeah.
That's really the thing.
The bing bang.
Yeah. That's it. I think with entrepreneurship, I never really, when I was younger, I wanted to be wealthy. I still want to be wealthy, but I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Mm. Like that was never something I said, oh, I want to own a business one day. Like who wants to do that? Like who wants that responsibility?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
because people don't really know what that entails. Yeah. Like everyone's be like, oh, I got my own business. I want to be a business owner, or I have this dream. I have this vision. No, but then you don't really know what goes into that. That's not really talked about.
Yeah.
And a lot of, to be a successful entrepreneur, I feel like, and for it to last and for you to truly be happy and for it to be a prosperous business, you have to work like on yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to not be in denial that this isn't going to be a walk in the park, and this is not something that happens overnight, that happens over years, sometimes decades. People be building their business and then out of nowhere it takes off. Mm-hmm. I won't say out of nowhere because they planted those seeds. Mm-hmm. But like on the outside looking in, it looks as though they just took off out of nowhere. But this entire time they had been sowing those seeds and investing those time. And I know for me that was my biggest thing of like, I don't know what business I want to start, but I know when I started I can't stop.
Yeah.
So just like for people to just be popping out with like so many different businesses, I'll be so baffled, because if you have 12 businesses going on, what are you truly invested in? And
not much.
What's your vision? Like, it's, to me, that's like your mind is scattered.
Yeah.
Like there's no vision, there's no structure, there's no nothing. Like what are you really doing? Right. Like if I come to you, oh, what's your business? And you're giving me a list of 10 businesses, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm not about to support all of those because there's no structures, there's no foundation. Now it's different if you say like, oh, you have something like a YMCA. Within that YMCA, there's pool, there's sports, there's there's different branches. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of those different branches are technically different businesses,
Mm-hmm.
because for each of those businesses, sometimes you have to have a different LLC and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. I'm talking about for somebody that's like, oh, I don't know, like, oh, I'm a cosmetologist, but I'm also
Real
a
estate agent.
massage therapist and a real estate agent and a RN and a toe specialist and a
Yeah.
therapist, and I'm a dog whisperer too.
Yeah.
Like, there's no structure, there's no type of coming, just like everything sinking to where it's just like, how can you have your hats dipped in so many different things? How can one business truly be successful if you're having so many different businesses that are not aligned?
I think people took the statement, have multiple streams of income, and they took it to the ultimate extreme.
That,
Like
yes,
when you
that's what
talk
it
when you
is.
talk to any business owner or anybody that's successful, yes, they have multiple streams of income, but what they did is they mastered one thing, and then once they got that one thing mastered, maybe they built their income to a certain level to where it could
Mm-hmm.
sustain them and their family. And then they started dipping into other things. They started investing into real estate. They started
Mm-hmm.
to, invest into art, whatever it may be, right? They mastered one thing, and then they went on to get involved in other things. They didn't master seven things at one time. That's like
Mm-hmm.
there's no, like, you can't do that,
Yeah.
right? And I don't even like to use the word can't. Listen,
But that.
but you can't do that. Okay, it's just it's not gonna happen, right? It's like that's like that's like driving with one foot on the gas, trying to drive with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. You're not going anywhere.
You're not going
So
nowhere.
when you have seven different things going on, you're a masseuse, you're a real estate agent, you're a life insurance agent, you're like all of that. It ain't gonna work out.
No.
Okay, you got to master one thing, and once you master one thing, then you can move on to other things and get involved in other things that can generate more income for you. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to touch on the entrepreneur thing again because I think for me, I had an awakening.
When?
Well, it was just recently.
Okay.
Um, and the awakening was I'm at a point in my life to where I can be completely honest with myself more than I've ever been before. And being completely honest with myself, I would say I'm not in a place in my life where I want the responsibility of building a business right now. And you say, well, wow, that may be a shocker, right? That may be something that you wouldn't expect for me to say. Well, it's the truth. I don't want the responsibility of building a business right now. And the reason is because, not because I don't want the responsibility, it's because where my priorities are. My family is my priority. Like when I say that, I'm not just saying that. Like my family is my priority. Like my children a priority for me. Okay? Like I don't want my children to ever grow up and feel like I wasn't there in any way, shape, or form. Like I refuse to let that happen. Like, and I must say this: just because you're present doesn't mean you're doing what you're supposed to do as a parent.
That goes back to what you were saying about time.
Yeah, like it's the yeah, exactly. It ties in with the time thing. You know what I mean? Just because you're there and there is time that's going by because you're there doesn't mean that you're doing what you're supposed to do in that time. So point of me saying that is my priority is my family and making sure that my family is specifically my marriage and my children are getting what they need from me as a husband, as a father, and making sure I'll start with my children, okay? My children, I want to make sure that the most important years of their life, from age 0 to age, let's just say 7,
Mm-hmm.
that their foundation is built,
It's
meaning that
firm.
it's firm. They understand who they are. They have an awareness of self. They have an awareness of their creator. They have people skills. They have respect. They have self-respect. They have communication skills. Like all of those things, I need to make sure I instill in my children. I'm not going to rely on some other man or some system to teach my children how to do those things. That's not happening. The world that we're living in today, they want to convince us or try to make us think that what we should be doing is when our children are younger, we should be out working as hard as possible so that when they get older, we can spend all the time that we want with them. No.
That's the first thing the
That's
child will
backwards.
say.
That's backwards. I had an epiphany. This happened to me yesterday, actually. I wrote about it in my journal. I had an epiphany. That is bass backwards. Okay. I believe that when your children are younger, from age 0 to age 7, that's when you should be spending the most quality time with them, because if you look at any structure, anything that gets built, the most important part of that structure is the foundation. So from 0 to 7 years old, if you're not building that foundation for your children, then when they get older into their teenage years or their young adult years, they're gonna have a hard time. They're gonna have a hard time finding themselves and maneuvering in this world. Why? Because that time wasn't invested in them in their foundational years. Therefore, they have no foundation.
They're gonna look other places,
and they look other places for a foundation or a leg to stand on, so to speak. Because they're like, man, I'm really lost. I don't know. Like, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I come from. I don't know what. Like, they just don't know. I refuse to do that to my children. You know what I mean? And then going back to my marriage, like, my marriage is a priority. I want to make sure that I'm becoming the best husband that I can be, and that I'm constantly growing myself and improving on things that I'm not really good at the moment. Why? Because ultimately I want to have a blissful marriage. You know how difficult it is to have I don't know if y'all know anyone that has a blissful marriage. And when I say blissful, I mean blissful. Like the couple, the people that are in a marriage, they actually like each other.
Yeah.
They're not just together. They actually like each other. But they also know themselves outside of each other. You know what I mean? I want that for me and my wife. And that is a priority for me. Okay? Making money is very, very easy. Okay? Blissful. Okay, my wife gave me the definition of blissful. So it says extremely happy, full of joy. That's one definition. Then it also says providing perfect happiness or great joy. Okay? So joy and happiness is blissfulness.
Love and happiness.
Okay? So I don't know if you guys know anyone. I don't know anyone that's blissfully married. I know people that are married. I know people that have a good marriage.
I know people that got a little bliss, like a little bliss to their marriage, but it's not. You can tell that it's not fully blissfully.
I don't know anybody personally that has a blissful marriage. I know people that have good marriages.
What do you think?
No.
No, I'm asking.
Okay.
Like, I'm gonna say it, and then you tell me, like, like what part of that you don't necessarily see blissful. Because in a way, I see them as blissful. The person that says exciting times.
No.
Okay. What about nothing wrong with a little ketchup?
No.
Okay. And I set those two people because I feel like basically these two relationships that we use phrases for is stuff that they said. I love their marriage, their relationship, but I also feel like a lot of it is, I feel like it's a business marriage. Like, I don't feel like they're necessarily married and truly happy to be married to that person. It's kind of like you've invested all this time, you done built a family with this person, and y'all have a legacy together. So now it's kind of like, oh, like I'm settling.
Right.
But truly happiness, I don't see that, because they see us together and they long for what we have. Yeah. And it's like, you're longing for what we have, and we're trying to get to what y'all have in the aspect of your finances and not having the concern of literally just your finances, like the things that you have, like the materialistic things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I feel like that's like, I don't know, I feel like it's different versions of bliss.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't feel like they're not happy. I don't feel like they're not satisfied.
No, I feel like they have a good marriage. They have a good marriage. Yeah, I believe both of those couples have a good marriage. But the way I view blissfulness, I wouldn't consider that blissful.
Yeah.
The way I view it, it may be blissful for them, right? So I can't speak on how somebody feels about their marriage in their marriage. That may be, they may be blissful.
Yeah.
But I'm saying for me and my perspective, if I'm looking at their marriage from an outside perspective, no, I'm not seeing my version of blissfulness in that. Doesn't mean that they don't have a good marriage. Doesn't mean that they don't have a good relationship. They probably do, and maybe their relationship is blissful. Maybe their marriage is blissful. But for me and what I believe to be blissful, I don't see that, and I don't see it anywhere else. So because I don't see it anywhere else, I have to create it to set the example, right? To show the example of other people of what a blissful marriage looks like, and what it can look like. And of course, it's going to be difficult, right? Because it's a relationship that you're building with somebody that's continually changing, right? Of course, it's going to be difficult, but I mean, it's the best, hardest task that you'll ever take on.
And the thing with like marriage or just relationships in general is just like whenever you're taking on those challenges, I mean, whenever you're like going through those changes, the challenges just don't stop.
Yeah.
Like the thing that you're supposed to learn in your marriage and overcome and conquer, like the main reason for divorce be finances and children.
Yeah.
Most people either get divorced after they had a child or after
they went bank.
Children are out the house. That something to deal with finances. Those are the main things, but those are the challenges that you go through when you're in a marriage.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times, like, you know, a lot of people look at our relationship so close in because of how we are with each other. And, you know, we get put off in this branch of like, oh, y'all in the honeymoon phase. And I'm like, baby, that honeymoon phase was over after a year.
Yeah.
It was over.
We had to get to it. We had to get to it quick.
Like, we had real life responsibility from very early on in our relationship. Like, wanting together a full 6 months before, you know, we were pregnant with our first daughter.
Yep.
Being pregnant, my hormones, him, you know, having to take on this role of creating a space for our family and providing for our family because, like, I was sick, I couldn't work, so he had to take on, you know, a whole lot at such a young age. And we were just talking about that. Me in my head, I don't know why I thought I was like 25 whenever I had Noel.
23.
I was pregnant at 22 and had her at 23. And now I'm looking at like memories that pop up in videos, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was a baby who had a baby, and you could tell because I was so like just mesmerized with her. I mean, I still am mesmerized with my kids, very much so obsessed. You will see in my phone, but I just wanted to do it right. Like, and you could see that in both of us, like videos and memories that pop up even with you. Like, this man would get off of work. When I tell you, everybody like, you got her spoiled. Daddy had her spoiled. Like, he didn't even take off his clothes, and he had his babies in his hands. Like, you know what I'm saying? But at such a young age, we had to go into that role of parenthood and also trying to water and nurture our fresh relationship.
Yep.
Like,
that's difficult.
That's
a lot of times that's where
that breaks.
That it breaks. It snaps. It's like, ooh, this is too much. That pipe bursts, right? Because the pressure.
Yeah. Like, that's intense. That's the most. I feel like, far as like a relationship, that is the hardest thing that you have to like overcome and accomplish. Now it's just like, I really do have that like mindset. Like, there's nothing that we can like that we go through that we won't be able to accomplish because we went through that and we were so young and we didn't have, you know, those examples growing up and we didn't have everything that we would have wanted when, you know, we were creating a family.
Yeah.
But we both were determined and both had the mindset from early on. Like, let me tell you something. Okay. We was talking. How long we was talking for? I don't know. But when we were talking, we weren't having, oh, what's your favorite color?
Nah.
Oh, what's your favorite movie? We were having real conversations. Like, what do your finances look like? Are you financially stable? Like, what's your vision? Where do you see yourself being in 5 years? If you want a family, you talking about kids. Okay, what do you plan on doing to help take care of your kids and me?
Yeah.
Because if I'm carrying your children, you don't know if I'm gonna be sick. You don't know what will happen if I gotta be at work. Can I depend on you? Can I count on you? You know what I'm saying? What's your vision for a family? What's your vision for yourself? What's your vision for me? Like, anything, like if this happened, like it was so many scenarios and questions that was coming out that
Yeah.
like that's like, are
By the
you
time we got in it, it's like we knew who we were, we knew what we wanted, and we had the vision, we had the plan.
like, and not hiding or faking the funk. Like if I wasn't feeling him or I was pissed off, he knew that, he felt that.
Yeah.
Vice versa. Or me just being myself completely. Like if I got gas, you got to smell that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not walking to the other room. Like if something is uncomfortable, everything, I feel like in the beginning a lot of relationships like hide that. But those challenges that you get put through in the beginning of a relationship, I feel like that's God's way of telling you if you need to be with that person or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like truly, like when people talk about like red flags, he be sending all the flags towards people, and they still be like, oh well, maybe it'll
They
get
create
better.
an
Or
excuse.
how do you
Oh, take a deep breath.
okay, so I got one more question for you.
What is it? Talk to me.
Okay, so how do you know if a relationship is supposed to be a lesson for you, or you were never supposed to be in that situation? Like what red flags, what are 3 red flags that you feel like is something that, like if you're talking to somebody and you hear them or they act a certain way, that's like you're not supposed to be with that person?
3 red flags that you're not supposed to be with somebody.
Yeah. So I feel like that be the biggest issue that people have is like you're stuck, like you hear me and him talking about it, and you hear that, relationships are hard, relationships are not something easy, but like certain things you have to stick out and you have to go through it with that person. I feel like a lot of times people take that statement of people giving them advice on relationships in a way of accepting and dealing with things that I feel like it's just like, if he did this 2-3 months in, if he did this or she did this in the beginning of your relationship and that's how they were, why did you not see those signs? Or why did you feel like those are acceptable things that you put up with to be able to be in a relationship or to hold that relationship down, and you're just not necessarily jumping from relationship to relationship? So what do you feel like are 3 big signs to say like that's not something that you put up with?
Well, I can just give you one.
Oh.
That'll encompass all 3.
Okay.
Whatever your non-negotiables are in a relationship,
That's it.
if they are doing something that you consider a non-negotiable, that's it.
That's it.
I mean, that's it. That's straw the base of camel's back right there. You consider something be a non-negotiable, and they are doing that thing or they have done that thing, it's a wrap. You consider flirting with other people a non-negotiable and they do it, it's a wrap. You consider not having children a non-negotiable and they want to have children, or if you consider having children as a non-negotiable and they don't want to have children, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
If you consider physical abuse is a non-negotiable and they so happen to push you one day because they're upset, it's a wrap. Like that. Whatever your non-negotiables are, establish your non-negotiables, let it be known. And if they so happen to cross that line with any of those non-negotiables, it is a wrap.
Done for.
It's a wrap.
Done for.
That's it. So that's one.
Yeah.
It's nothing more. You don't need
It's
no more.
really nothing more. That, like when I be talking to like my sisters, or I'm talking to somebody and they ask me like advice, or we get on that topic, and I just be like, but like you have to know what your non-negotiables are, what you are willing to put up with and work through, and what you are absolutely not willing to put up with. So if he's calling you out your name, he's being disrespectful, he don't spend time with you, he's deflecting, he or she, I'm just saying he because I'm speaking from my like the female perspective. But he's doing anything that is just like I don't like that. Like, I can't put up with that, or it's literally tearing you down as the person that you are, then it's like, why are you sticking that out?
No
Because
reason.
the more time that goes by, the deeper you get sucked in, and the more that you are willing to accept and change your views and perspective. And that just goes into a whole nother branch of toxicity. So now you've been with this person for 5 years. They don't believe in marriage, but you want to be married. But in the beginning, they told you that, and you thought it was like, I'm gonna make him fall in love.
Yeah.
But he's standing on big business. He don't want to be married. That was a red flag. That was God showing you in the beginning to cut off that relationship. I feel like that's the same thing for friendships. They showing you in the beginning they don't support you. They're not there for you. Family, friends, whoever it may be. You're getting cut off.
Yeah, if you if you decide to get into a relationship with somebody that has habits or does things that you don't agree with, and you've already voiced that you don't agree with them, and you get in a relationship with the hopes of changing that person, you are mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Listen, people don't change people. People don't change people. You can't change nobody. You can influence change in somebody, but you can't change them.
That's it.
They have to have the willingness to change, themselves, right? If they don't have the willingness to change and they don't see fit for them to change, they're not going to change.
Say that again.
Okay? So it doesn't matter how good you are in bed. It don't matter how beautiful you are, how handsome you are. No matter how you wine and dine. Listen, none of that matters. Okay? What matters is if you're with somebody or you're considering to be with somebody that has a willingness to change. If they don't have a willingness to change, you might as well go about your business because they're going to stay who they are, and you either accept who they are or you part ways.
Yeah.
If you decide to accept who they are and then later down the road try to change that,
complain about it.
Oh, you about to be frustrated.
Yeah.
It ain't happening.
It's not happening.
Okay, so wise words from a decent couple.
Decent? Yeah. We're not where we want to be, but I'm most definitely happy where we are because it's a constant change. Like, it is constantly changing. We're constantly like randomly asking questions, like
Yeah.
just any and everything, because at the end of the day, it's not just about him being happy or me being happy, but both of us being happy overall with each other and with our family and what we're building, because no one's in a relationship but you. And you have to establish what you want to accept. And like my husband said, like, our relationship is literally constant change. Like, you're in a relationship and you don't think that you're going to change, then you are sadly mistaken. Like, you can't just cook, clean, and put it down, or provide and put it down, and think that's what a relationship is and that's all that it needs. It's so much more mental and spiritual strength that goes into a marriage or a relationship than the physical part.
Yeah.
Physical part is the easy part.
Definitely the easy part. The spiritual aspect of a relationship is the most difficult part of the relationship.
Yeah.
And once you get that down, or once you accept the fact that you have to continually work on it, I think that's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Because you never really get it down. Once you accept the fact that you have to continually work on it and you embrace it, it makes everything easier.
Yeah.
So that's it.
That's it.
We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe.
Turn your post notifications so you can notify every single time we post.
Yeah. Share.
And follow us on social media.
Follow us on social media at SM0OV_smooth.
At Queen_Deja. Queen_DAJHA.
That's us.
That's us.
So we appreciate y'all love and support. And we'll holler at y'all next week. That love for your hearts, family.
Peace and blessings. Bye.